Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Chuck. My name is Chuck Guglielmo, and today with me is a very familiar name, not only in Conneaut, but Ashtabula County, Lake County, Geauga County, maybe even in Cuyahoga County.
Yes, Cuyahoga County.
Phil Garcia. Phil, how you doing?
Good, real good, real good.
Good to have Phil here today, and we've got a lot of things to talk about with Phil, but before we do, Phil, 1973, Conneaut High School graduate.
Yes, with you.
Does it seem like 43 years? I don't want to give our age away, but does it seem like 43 years ago?
Why? That seems like it. It's how long I've been officiating too.
It does seem that long
Yes,
to you.
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
It seemed like, I was thinking about this, it seemed like a few years ago I was out on that stage getting my diploma from Lawrence Colson, who then was the principal.
That's right, yes, we did, yes.
Of course, Phil is a well-known caterer in the area. Phil's Catering, he's also an official and also schedules officials.
Yes.
And also a council person. So we, like I said, we have a lot of things to talk with Phil about. Phil, let's start with the catering business. How long have you been with, how long have you had that catering business?
Since 1986. Been in Asheville that long. My first big job was a premix open house for 4,000 people. And I was in a little grocery business before that, but it's been catering business. I just moved my business 6-7 months ago up onto Route 20 in the Windermere Plaza, just west of the Giant Eagle Plaza. We now have a carry-out deli, hot foods every day, open Monday through Friday, 11 to 6, and then the weekends we do our catering. So it's been quite rewarding career, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, but a lot of good workers.
And what got you interested in catering?
I was in the grocery business. I was with Value King, and one of my partners, and
That's
I was with Value King, and then I went out on my own on a grocery business with Charlie St. Angelo, who was a caterer at that time, and I moved in business with him. And then as the grocery business got thinner and thinner, I just decided to go out on my own for catering. So that's how I did that. So it's, kind of fell into it, not by accident, but been in the food business. So that's why I got into it.
Mm-hmm. Catering now, obviously in Ashtabula County, do you go outside of the county?
Yes, I do. I've gone to Cuyahoga County. I've gone down to Trumbull County, a little bit in Pennsylvania. But I'll go any place that we're needed. We'll go.
What's the smallest size and the largest size party you've catered, or you can cater?
Well, we've done 4 or 5 people. We do, and 4,000 was the biggest job. That was back in 1989, Premix 30th anniversary. The late George called me on it. And we made it through that day. I don't know how, but we did a lot of help. 4,000 people.
Wow, so there's really not a party too small or a party too large for you?
No, we can do it.
Wow, that's amazing. What are some of the featured foods that people like to get? Now I'm going to guess pasta and chicken are probably
pasta and chicken,
things.
pasta and chicken. Roast beef is good, and then we, barbecued ribs, in the summertime, steak dinners where I cut my own steaks and things like that.
Have those?
Yes, things like that, and our turkey and stuffing is very famous. We always have, and we feature all those at our local deli, and sandwiches and breakfasts and stuff like that. So we can do any number of things. I can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, cook breakfast, or work all night and do second and third shifts on certain businesses. We go out third shift and work. So
now, do you get into the desserts as well?
A little bit desserts, brownies, cookies, not so much cakes. We do a little bit of cakes, but mostly brownies, cookies, and some pies. Mm-hmm. So we do service that, but cakes we kind of stay away from sometimes. So, but if we have to, I can get somebody to make cakes for me.
Now, do you specialize in any certain types of foods, like organic, gluten-free, or that kind of stuff?
Well, I try to, when I make a menu out for people, we do gluten-free stuff because a lot of, you'd be surprised. I mean, we do a chicken that is not breaded. We can do oven potatoes. They can have that, green beans. So when I pick out people's menus, I kind of say, look at the vegetarians and the gluten-free people you have. So if you have pasta and meatballs, the pasta can do for the vegetarians, the meatballs, but if I have that chicken and the potatoes and green beans, then there's enough for everybody to eat there. So I try to service that way.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you do full service catering? Like if they want you to set the tables, clean up, and all?
Oh yes, we can do
bar and all that kind of stuff.
No bar. I kind of stay away from that. I can recommend somebody, or usually at a wedding they have family members do it, something like that. But we full service, sit down with china, wherever you like. We can do. Nothing too small or too big, and try to fit into people's price range.
Mm-hmm. How many people do you have working for you?
Right now I have like 3 part-timers, and then on weekends, if I need people, I use high school athletes or high school kids that can need some money on weekends or something like that. So I kind of do something like that. But if I need more, then I bring them in earlier or something like that. So it's easy, and it's a good job for high school students.
I was just going to say, I think that's a good deed that you do
Yes.
with high school. They have to be athletes, did you say?
No, not really. You know, they being band members, cheerleaders, or just regular high school people. But you know, if you look at high school athletes, it's hard for them to find jobs.
Sure.
Because you know you have to have a set schedule, and they don't have a set schedule. So on the weekends they can pick up some extra money, but they don't have to be athletes or cheerleaders or band members, something like that. But it's more convenient for them to get a job with me, so they can work around it. If they can't work one weekend, they work the next weekend. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Garcia being that school name, I would assume you get a lot of school functions from around the county.
Yes, I do. Conneaut area city schools take care of Asheville area city schools, Grand Valley, Riverside, a couple other schools that I take care of, and Geneva they usually call.
I know you that you have done the Ashtabula County Basketball Foundation in the past.
Yes, that's coming up April 3rd, so that's right around the corner.
Mm-hmm. And that's usually always sold out, so there's a lot of people. What do you figure, how many people are usually there?
They're usually about 300. And we can usually squeeze a few more people in there, so it's, we've gone as high as 350, and the Human Resource Center can hold about 400, I think, so that's always good. It's always a nice event. So.
Mm-hmm. Talking with Phil Garcia of many things, like I said, catering, officiating, and council person. We're going to get into that. Let's go to officiating now. How many years for that?
This is my I just finished my 43rd year in basketball. Baseball, softball, I'll be 42. In football, I think I just ended my 24th year.
Wow, so actually right after high school.
Yeah, right out of high school, I took my test that November. And at that time, back in the day, you took the test at Edgewood High School in November. You had to wait 3 weeks to get your license or your test back. And I was kind of fortunate. My dad was assigning officials at that time, so he left me about 10 or 12 games I could have my first year, because normally a first year official didn't get any. And so I've risen through the ranks.
So when you were in high school, you knew you wanted to be an official?
Yes, I did a little, when we had the 5th and 6th grade league, I officiated that. I remember they used to have Dean Avenue, Southeast, they had the Saturday morning league, West Main, all those schools, so I did that. So I wanted to be officials, and I was even doing a little league baseball when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. So.
How is officiating today versus when you first started?
It's about the same. The game has opened up a lot. Once again, you got the 3-point shot. More of a fast-paced game. Back when I started, the games were, 45, 50 points. Now you're 60, 70, 80 points game. So it's a faster-paced game. The game changes somewhat. At one time, I think about the mid-'80s, '90s, we let it get too physical. And then we kind of cleaned it up again. And right now, I think we're at a good point in the game that let them play to a certain extent, but don't play until they don't want to play. Mm-hmm. So.
Do you like the 3-point shot?
I think they've gone to it too much. You see too much of it. I think they've got rid of the old
pounding the ball inside.
Pounding the ball inside, or the old 15-foot jump shot, and it just is too much of that, I think, sometimes. But that's the nature of the game. You go with the flow.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you started back in '73,
yes.
Did we have girls' sports then? Girls' basketball, or was that just coming in?
That was just coming in, and when they did start, it was in the fall. And then they moved it into the winter time with the boys' season, and I don't know how many games they played. But back when they first started again, they only used 3 officials, the JV official, and then they had 2 varsity officials, so the varsity officials had to do half of the JV game. So, because it wasn't up and coming, it was up and coming, but wasn't really, full go yet. And then once it got full go, and then they went to 2 officials for each game, and now eventually we're on 3 officials for both boys and girls games.
Do you like the 3?
Yes. If we didn't have 3 officials, I probably would have retired about 10 years ago. And that's being seriously, because this is up and down the court. I mean, we still have to hustle and get them down the court, right. But I mean, you really, the pounding with the legs and stuff like that, but really this is where the fast-paced game.
You bring up a good point, because the way these players run up and down the court, but they get to call timeouts to get on breaks. You guys are still out on that floor, even though you're standing there, but you're still going to be thinking.
That's right.
What's going to come up next, right?
You got to keep on going, and over the time I've learned how to pace myself. And, you still got to run, Plummy says, well, you don't work as hard. Yes, you do. You still work as hard because you still got your same area to do. So you still work as hard, you still got the fast breaks, but I'm just not as quick as I used to be. But like I said, it's the pounding is so much on the knees and everything else, so.
I know.
Just being honest.
I know, because I know the feeling.
Yes.
Yeah, I was laughing so much I forgot my next question. I'll think about it. When you assign how many officials do you have that you assign?
For basketball, I have 197 officials in my pool. I use an arbiter system. I may use a few more.
What does that mean?
It's a system where all the officials, that's how I assign games. It's arbiter, sports, everything's on computers now.
Oh, okay.
So all the games, when they give me the schedule, I put everybody's name in, I send the games to the officials, they accept it, decline it, whatever, and each school gets a list of who's coming that night. So right now I've got about 197 officials, and I assigned for 8 schools in the Western Reserve Conference. I also assigned Conneaut High School, I also assigned the University School, St. John's School, and Grand River Academy. And I also assigned lower level games for Lakeside High School, Edgewood High School, and Jefferson High School. So you need that many officials. And speaking of that, if anybody out there would like to become an official, we need more officials, especially in Nashville County. I mean, it's a shortage, and we just need more people to get involved. I know it's fun, and I've enjoyed my career, and you meet a lot of good people. But I have a class every September in Manor High School, and anybody who wants to become an official, please contact me. At my house or at work, and we can do that, because we definitely need officials.
You say it's fun. It's tough. You're going to have somebody that's not going to like your call.
Well, it doesn't bother me.
It's like a weatherman.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
You got to have the stomach.
You got to have the stomach. You got to be able to do it. Work with good partners. And some of the stuff you see, on TV and stuff like that, it's nonsense. But every game you go out, it's just like anything else. I always tell officials, when the teams make the baskets all the time and they're shooting 50, 60%, you don't hear about them. The time you hear from a coach or something like that is when their team is not very good, not playing very well, right. Can't shoot the basket, and they're not responding, so now they're after the officials. So you kind of take it for what it's worth. And I would say, all the coaches are good. You get some goofy fans, just like anything else. But you put it out of your mind, and you go up and down the court, and you have fun. And like I said, you have fun. It's for the student athletes, and it's for the love of the game. I want to get in and out. The game is not about me. It's not about my partners. It's for the kids, and that's what I always believed in. And it's a fun adventure. It gets me relaxed from being a business person. It gets me exercise. Keeps me in shape. So what else would I do?
Obviously, you know more about it than I do. But
yes.
I got to say, some of these games that I've seen this year, of course I'm only covering the Conneaut teams,
yes.
It seems like the officials are allowing coaches to voice their opinion more. I don't see any technicals being called on coaches.
Well, they shouldn't be, because we just had a directive, they got to stay in the coach's box. There's a fine line, do you, don't you? If they're not directed at you or being personal with you, I think you can put up with some of it. I'm not saying we're not out looking for technicals, and hopefully that, I always, my rule of thumb, if they get my way, a lot of times, they may be screaming at you. I may not even hear them. I just may go down, and especially if you make a call that may be controversial or not, you make the call, get the ball back in play. I learned this off of a friend of mine that, you see something, let's get the ball back in play so they can't continue on you. So you get it back in and let's go.
Cindy, you may remember this. I was asking Tim. I had Tim Talbach in here earlier this season about that same thing. I says, Tim, I watch you sometimes and I don't understand how you don't get a technical. And he said he knows just how far he can go with the officials. Yeah, most coaches do. And if you tell them that's enough, coach. Another time, it's not my first rodeo, coach. It's I'll call the game. And I always tell in my pregame conference, I don't mind talking to the coaches, but we're not having a rule session tonight, and they're not going to continue. There's a point in time where that's it, coach. We're gonna, it's the end of the conversation. Not every call you're going to agree with. And if you communicate with them, and that's a big part of officiating. If you communicate with the coaches, communicate with the players,
you'll have an easier time. If they know they can talk to you to a certain extent, and they know, if it's a block charge call or, a crucial out of bounds call or something like that, let's get the ball back in play. You get done over with. If it's a fifth foul or something, let's get the ball back in play. Let's, hopefully that we don't have to have that situation.
Mm-hmm. In your 43 years, have you ever had to eject anybody? Fan?
Yes, oh yeah. I've had a couple times that it's happened. One time I was at a regional game and I made a call, and this gentleman sitting right behind the bench gave me the number 1 sign. And next time down the court, I very calmly just went to the scorer's table and said, the gentleman behind you and what he was wearing had to leave. It's you don't want to do it. I've had players, coaches been ejected.
Mm-hmm.
We have to write it up. Very few and far between. And sometimes the fans, they just get a little rambunctious, and you got to do what you got to do.
Now, when a coach or a player gets ejected, do they also have to sit out the next game?
Yes, coaches are 2 games, players are 2 games, and if they get ejected at a game, the coach has to leave the confines of the gym. The player has to stay seated on the bench.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not unless it's going to be a problem, and if he's not on the bench, assistant coach has to go with them into the locker room, because you can't let a player leave the confines of the floor by himself, because you may not have the locker room left. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but they have to have supervision, but the coach is gone, and there are 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
But we, and like I always tell my officials in my class, you've got to remember that this is a vocation for us, and that's the coach's job. So, because forget about what happened 2 weeks ago, or you had a problem with the coach or player. We don't want to throw a coach out, because that's their job. And if you think about it, say he's on the hot seat or something like that, and he gets ejected from a game. Well, somebody can use that against him and say, "Geez, you got thrown out of the game." And I always give the philosophy, if you give 1 technical, walk away. If you give 2 in a row, then you have lost. And it's a very, very, very philosophy, because the coach is going to say something else to you. So you give him 1, walk away. Now, if he's following you on the court, everybody knows he wanted another one. But if you give 2 right in a row to a coach or a player, and now unless it's just flagrant and everybody sees it, that's fine. But give him 1, have your partner go over and calm down, because the emotions are running high. Your emotions are high, the coach's emotions are high, the players are. Walk away. Just walk away.
That's interesting too.
Yeah.
Assigning referees, Phil, especially in basketball, because it's a longer season, do you try to limit how many times an official does a certain school or anything like that?
No. If they're good enough officials, I don't look at that. But sometimes I do look at it if they're back to back too many times, or if something happens, there's cancellations, and I expect an official to tell me, hey, I've seen Conneaut too many times, or I've seen Edgewood, or I've seen this team or that team, or especially if they had a problem in one of the games, they call me up and say, Phil, I just had Conneaut, or I had Edgewood, or I had Lakeside, and we had this incident or something like that, then I'll move them. Or if I see a group of officials that maybe I want to move them over here instead of over here because of the rankings and who's playing or something like that, and I try to do that. But I try to limit how many times they do see a school. Mm-hmm. But maybe 3 to 4 times maybe. Mm-hmm. But then sometimes you run into it. If they go into another league, they may see the same official again, and you see that. But most of the time, officials shouldn't have any problems.
With the Conneaut High School Spartans moving into Pennsylvania Conference in the fall, starting with the football season, how is that going to affect the officials here that you have?
It will not. We are going to have our officials work the Conneaut games. The people have always worked the Conneaut games. I check with the state office, and Mr. Campbell checked with the state office that if you play in Ohio, you use Ohio officials. You play in Pennsylvania, you use Pennsylvania officials.
Whether you're playing at Pennsylvania Conference or not.
Right, yes. That is a state rule. Now, there are some officials who have dual license. At one time, I had dual license. I had a Pennsylvania license too, so I could have gone over there and officiated too. But you have to have a license, and and do all the studies that you have. But if people from Pennsylvania wanted to get Ohio license, all they would do is apply for it. They would get it, but then they would have to pay the state dues or local dues and attend the meetings. So any officials that are coming, whoever teams come over from Pennsylvania, there'll be Ohio officials working in Ohio.
Are there any differences between the 2 states?
I don't think there is. I think there is some it's more of a quarters, how many quarters you can play each day. I think in Ohio you can only play 5 quarters in basketball. I think in Pennsylvania you can play 8. So I don't know how that works out. I don't get involved in that type of situation. That's bookkeeping things for that. But we had checked that out, and to make sure that we're on the same page, and we want what's best for the Conneaut, and they when they moved in, and best for Pennsylvania schools. And other than that, they all use National Federation rules, so there shouldn't be any difference on the rules and stuff like that.
One more thing on this, and then I want to move quickly into the council. Somebody asked me this question. They said I'd ask you because you were coming on today. If a turnover occurs on a 2-point conversion, can the defensive team return the ball and get to 2 points?
What was that again?
If a turnover occurs on a 2-point conversion try,
Okay.
and can the defense return the ball for 2 points?
No, not
They
next
cannot.
That cannot.
Just in the National Football League,
Yes,
apparently.
yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure on that, so I wanted to
yeah.
find out. All right, let's go to another topic. We'll close with the city council.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
how long have you been there? You're in your second term.
Third term.
Third term
Third
already.
term.
My
Yes.
time
Yes.
is flying.
Yes.
Each term is what, 2 years?
2 years. Yes.
2 years. And what made you want to be a council person?
Well, I've always.
It's kind of like an official, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted to get involved in politics a little bit. I didn't like some of the direction what the city was going. The positive, we needed a positive voice up there because it just seemed the infighting, the negativity towards things, and I just thought I had something to bring to the table. And I think I have, and along with the rest of the council members, that put a positive in. Now, do I agree with everything that has happened over my first 2 terms? No, but you go along with it because that's what the majority voted on it. I'm very happy with what I've done and what the other council people have done.
Let's talk about a few things about it. First of all, the water sampling that was supposedly did not pass in early January.
That was just a minor infraction. That was the chlorine. When I read and what I got the email on, it fell below the certain level, like for 20 minutes. There was no danger to anybody, but according to EPA, we had to put it out. But there was no danger, and I know they do a fine job, the water department and stuff like that. So, and Mr. Hockaday took care of that. And
is that why the letter was 3 weeks late because you didn't know about the EPA?
No, the EPA says you have to do it within 30 days.
Oh, I see.
The EPA has a standard. If something happens within 30 days, you got to send the letter out. And any concerns that were registered with the city, Mr. Hockaday did take care of that, did send him a letter, Mr. Nybauer did too. So there wasn't any danger at any time for anybody at that period. But that's, safeguards you have down there. So it did, and they check it, I don't know what their scheduling is, but I'm sure every hour, every shift or whatever they got to do. But, it was just the chlorine fell below a certain number. So that was, nothing's minor, I guess, but you got to take everything seriously, and they did. So they did everything according to the EPA and stuff like that. And plus the fact that you have the Flint, Michigan thing, they have the Sebring, Ohio thing. So everybody's a little concerned.
Wasn't there a little episode in Chardonnay not very long ago?
It might have been
about the water situation as well.
Yeah, it may have been, yes.
Yeah. The single trash hauler, that's still pretty much. I guess they're Hockaday's taking bids.
Yeah, they're taking bids. The first time it came before council was about 2 years ago when Mr. Eggleston was here. I didn't go for it because I didn't think there was enough detail into it, enough refined on it. I didn't really like how it was planned out, so I didn't. But this time, Mr. Hockaday has done more research and got different things. It does nothing. All this does is put it out for bid. When it comes back, we could accept it, decline it, say it's not good for a city. There's a lot of different reasons why we did it this time for the EPA, because we should have some recycling by 2017, or we could get fined at one time. Another positive with this is that we could get some lower cost on trash. You listen to Waste Management or some other companies are up and down on prices. Also, once a month they'll pick up big items. If somebody's got a sofa to throw away or a chair or whatever they can throw away, and that will eliminate a lot of the garbage along the back roads and stuff like that, and maybe a town cleanup too. So I voted for this time because it costs us nothing. There's a lot of questions, a lot of answers we got to get through, and we're going to have a town meeting on it and things like that, and see where it comes out. It could come out, boy, we're not saving any money. It's not looking good. So that's the reason I moved forward on this time. I listen to all the facts. I've had pros and cons. People call me on the phone, and I take my dad's philosophy. There's two sides to every story, and you look at it and you go from there. And what I think would be best for the city and the citizens of Conneaut, we'll go with it. So that's and it could be a multiple hauler trash too. So and see what happens. Everybody thinks it's going to be this one company. Well, there's 4 or 5 companies that bid on it. So that's a good thing, and we'll see where the chips lie. And if it doesn't do any good, then we'll go back to the drawing board. But we have to have something in place, or something that we're looking to do it. Because we come to 2017, the EPA comes in and says, "Where's your recycling?" Well, we got to go move forward with it. Mm-hmm. So.
I've had some people ask me this, and I'll ask you, I don't know if you know the answer to it or not, but if we do, let's say we do go with this single trash hauler.
Yes.
And I guess if we do, they want to start it like July or August in summer, I heard.
Right, something like that, yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, for those that pay by the year.
Right.
Say now.
Right.
Like mine's due now.
Yeah.
Paid by the year, and we don't go with that trash hauler, will we be getting a refund?
That would be one of the questions we would have to, if it comes about, or maybe that they would have to finish out the year, or they get a refund. I really couldn't answer that question. That would be one of the things when the town meeting comes about, or how the bidding process comes. So that would, another thing about, and I was just reading about in Geneva, it's less trucks on the street. There'll be certain days they'll pick up trash, so that's another positive. There's some negatives to it. The billing procedure, I don't know if, whether we should do it as a city or let the trash hauler do it. So that's a question there, and that's a good question there that I think would be brought up when, the time comes. I don't know how it could be done that quick, but I don't know what the timeline's on all that. I don't know, the bids are coming in. I think we extended it to second week of March, I think. It was supposed to be the first week, and I think Mr. Hockaday said that a couple companies need a little bit more time to do it, so I think it's second week. So I think it's not going to make that big of a difference. So,
in your opinion, do you think a single trash hauler would be able to take care of the whole city in a 5-day period?
I would think so. Yes, it'd be easier for them. They can cut it off, and probably be less time than that. I would think. I don't know. And another thing that really maybe hurt the city is that we're so big. It's out south and down the harbor, west end. So whether we can get a better price, or maybe the price won't be as good as we thought it would be, because it's the square miles.
Is Monroe included with us?
No.
They're not included?
Not included.
Okay.
See, at one time they were talking about, I went to one of the meetings down in Jefferson, is get a collaboration of a couple, like Conneaut, North Kingsville, Monroe, put them all together, and then maybe get a better price that way. But I think that'd be a little bit harder, to try to get all that together. So maybe we do this, and maybe they see how it goes, and maybe you can expand into that. So it's a lot of questions, but if you don't ask, you don't get an answer. So that's what we're doing. And that, I know some people say we're taking away their right for garbage, but just say that you're paying maybe $20 a month, and now we can put it down to $14 a month. Saving some money.
Who's not going to go for that?
Yeah, and then I talked to Councilman in Willoughby, who has a single trash hauler, and they're paying, $48 every 3 months, so that's $16 a month, and they get, spring cleanup and recyclables. So that's, it's pretty good savings plus recyclables. So, there's a lot of different things, and see where the price comes, and it doesn't hurt to ask. And that's, I've always been my philosophy as a business owner, as an official. If you don't ask questions, you can't get an answer. So, and that's the way I always felt, that we've got to, at least put it out there for the citizens to do it. Like I said, the first time when it came before us, I didn't like the proposal. I didn't like how it was presented. This time, it's more detailed, and to see where it's going to come from. And I just, and it's not going to cost us anything. So that's the main thing right now. Let's see where it comes out. Let's see where the chips fall, and then hopefully that at the end of the day, it will work for the city of Conneaut. If it doesn't, none of the council people that I know of we haven't made any decision. We don't know who's gonna be a low bidder. It could be any number of companies. What do you say, 4 or 5 companies bid on it?
So we're still months away from knowing which way we're going to go.
Yeah, so it's going to be we're just not going to put it on a reading and go with it. And we've never done that at city council, as far as I know. But the council work with now, that if we feel it's going to need 3 readings, we're going to definitely put 3 readings on it if we go through with it. That's the thing we got to do. You know, it's not anything different than we did before, and it's, you know, we listen to the people and, you know, the concerns, questions. You know, Mr. Hockaday, you can email him, and he's got a lot of the questions and the answers, and or any council person, and we'll try to get the answer for you. And let's see where it comes out. And if it comes out better for the city, then let's move with it. You know, for the citizens and stuff like that. If it doesn't, you know, we're not going to make the move on it. So,
In closing, Phil, I did remember that question. Is it any different refereeing a girls' game than a boys' game?
no, you still officiate the same. You know,
You feel your pace is a little bit
a
slower?
little bit slower, but you get some girls' games that can be up and down the court. I've had a couple in the Western Reserve Conference, and they were up and down the court. You get some games. Yeah, and I always, people said, well, you'd rather do boys' games or girls' games. It doesn't matter to me. A basketball game is a basketball game. And I've always been, the philosophy is, you know, and somebody asked, how many big games you got? Every game is big. That's the most important game to those student athletes that night. And that's, you know, the girls may be a little bit slower at times. You know, there's some great girls' games, there's some great boys' games, and, you know, there's any certain night you go out there, you don't know what you're going to come up with. You know, and every
That's
game.
the beauty of it,
Yeah, that's the
really.
beauty of the game. The kids are 15, 16, 17, 8 years old, and they can come out one night and just fire. You know, there was a big upset in the Western Reserve. Chardon beat Kenston 74-73. Boys. And the 3 weeks before, Kenston beat them by 35. So can you figure it out?
It's hard to figure it
It's hard to figure out. You know,
Even on that level.
yeah, even on that level, even in high, you know, you go watch games and it's enjoyable. And like I said, every game to me is an important game, whether it's a 7th grade game or 8th grade game or junior varsity game. It's all important to me. It should be all important to all officials too. So
So are you assigning officials for the middle school level too?
yes, I do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I do middle school, Conneaut Middle School, Jefferson Middle School, you know, and Edgewood, and that's, you know, even though we're in that All-American Conference, I still do that signing for them, and that's.
What do you do if an official gets ill and they can't perform?
Oh, well, the phone.
You hear the last minute or
the
something.
last minute, well, it's a good thing you have cell phones, you got emails, texts, and, you know, you can get some, you know, when you get the cancellations, and just like yesterday, I did my baseball, softball for the schools I do the five or six schools I did 582 assignments. And I put it all in the computer, send it all out, and hopefully these officials can do it. And that's, you know, and I just did my basketball for next year.
Plus do your catering and your council.
Yeah, so so on a Sunday, that's what I'm doing, and next week.
Slow down, Phil,
Yeah,
slow down.
yeah, so next week.
61.
Yeah, I know, next week, I'm doing my football signing, so I'll get that done. And you gotta do a year ahead of time. And then when people cancel, you start scrambling, you put emails out, and if, you know, back in the day, you'd make a lot of phone calls, but now with cell phones and texts, and I usually get them
All that
covered.
modern technology.
Yeah, but like I said, we do need officials, so anybody in Asheville County or in Conneaut area, you wanna, you know, stay in the game.
How old they gotta be?
They can be high school. Believe it or not, you can be
high school?
High school can get, and that's the one thing, you can be a high school student, and what it is, you know, you get your license, you can do junior high basketball, and then when you get to college, you can do a lot of high school basketball. I have connections in Akron, I have in Columbus, and all these places. So if you go to college in Ohio and you're a licensed official, believe me, you'll be working. You can make $200 to $300 a week.
Wow, and if you're gonna have a high school official, their first assignment, you're not gonna give them a top big.
No, they can only do junior high, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Okay.
They're gonna do that, and I'll make sure they're with somebody. I had somebody work the other day, did a junior varsity game for me. I wasn't that type of official. They were Class 3 officials. So you can be in high school. You can be a freshman in high school to be an official. It's something good that you can get into. You like sports. You'd like to be involved in sports. This is a great way to. And we're not in for the money, but if you're at that level and you know how hard it is to find jobs in college that you have to work around, you can be a high school official. And most definitely, they're always looking for officials. And I know the connection. So if you're want to get involved in officiating, it's fun. It really is.
Very good. You've been so good. We went overtime, but it's been good having you, Phil. So Phil Garcia, thanks for coming in.
All right, thank you.
Phil Garcia, my guest on Around the Town with Chuck. We'll see you next week.